Hey there, folks. Hello, everybody. Belgrade Beat going live from the internet. Greetings from Dorchel, which is lower Dorchel in Belgrade, Serbia, which is, I'm sure a lot of people you know where Belgrade, Serbia is. You might even live in Serbia, and a lot of people might tune in from abroad. So, hey there, guys. My name is Eric, and I'm sitting here in my office, which is actually being turned into these days as a sort of studio, which is going to be the place where I'm going to do these sorts of broadcasts. So if you think about like podcasts that you see on the internet where you have a bunch of different people sitting there and talking about various stuff like Joe Rogan and stuff like that, that's the sort of thing I want to do with this podcast. And it just comes down to the fact that it's been a long time I've been doing this channel, and the next evolution is to make it into a more discussion-oriented thing where people have a chance to be a part of everything, in a live sort of way, and have the chance to just be a part of this community that I've built, outside of the meetups and outside of the comment section, because I will admit that I haven't been the best at reading comments on the Belgrade Beat YouTube channel, and you might want more from me. And so if I do one of these once in a while and I find a way to include you guys, things will get better, won't they? And things will get more sort of, interactive and community-oriented. I guess that's what I want to do. I always sort of wanted to create this community about the idea of being a foreigner in Belgrade and being somebody who really likes to just sort of be here and do this. So my mission in this country is to bring awareness, prosperity, and sort of evolution of my life at least here. My life at least here, because I made a decision that I wanted to be in this type of country, that I wanted to live in a place like this, a place like Belgrade, which essentially has a lot of potential, which may or may not be tapped in this day and age. So I just see this place as an incredibly nice place to live, where it's got a lot going for it, except for economics. Doesn't really, but it's getting worse in some aspects, getting better. And I want to be somebody who's sort of on the page of making things better. If you know what I mean by better, I mean that people have the opportunity to determine their own lives and reach a certain amount of success, prosperity, and affluence, which would be something that a lot of people here crave. And, so I grew up in Canada, which is a country that essentially that whole process of bringing success, prosperity, and affluence is incredibly done. It's all done. And I almost feel like the society I grew up in has reached a dead end of this sort of postmodern thinking. And there was no way for me to get to the next level past this sort of postmodern, affluent, everything is good in the society. People are finding new problems to have, new things to feel bad about, and first world problems type of thing. And there's a whole level of something that comes after that. And I've recently been studying something called spiral dynamics, which is a model of psychological evolution. I'll talk more about it later, but yeah. Anyways, how does this pertain to Belgrade? I see potential in this place. I see future in this place. And I see a lot of room for growth for a lot of people, because the society is very much stuck in this sort of traditional mindset, traditional stage of growth, where it's barely sort of a stable thing, stable community, society that takes care of itself. It's barely that. It's not going to the next level, which is, the prosperity one. But if you look at it, things are pretty damn okay here, if you don't measure yourself against more prosperous places. If you measure yourself against Africa on a whole, most of it, if you measure yourself against Africa, Serbia is a great country. Serbia is an amazing place if you measure against that. So if you measure yourself against Latin America, a lot of places, Serbia is a great place to live compared to some of those places. If you measure yourself against some countries in Asia, Serbia's a great place to live compared to that. But if you measure yourself against Germany, Sweden, Canada, Australia, you might feel a lack. But the mistake that I find that people most often make here is they do not appreciate what's good about this place that you will lack if you move to those places. If you move to those places that are more prosperity and individualism oriented, you might find that you're missing the sort of community and the sort of society, cohesive society that you would find in a place like this. What I mean by cohesive society means that everybody is sort of bound by a similar group identity and are fitting into a society where they actually feel they have a lot in common with other people and a huge amount of basic understanding which they have connecting them to those other people. And that's one of the things that when I moved here from Canada, it was really refreshing to be in a place that functioned like that. Whereas in Canada, you're always feeling this gulf of individualism where the society sort of has as its core individualism and selfishness and doing good for yourself in a capitalist way. And a lot of people don't realize that you can only have that stage of society, the one after that, after you have actually had a traditional society that did make a cohesive basis for, a certain amount of decency and cultural cohesion. So Canada went through that, throughout the last few hundred years, for example, first as a British colony and then more recently as its own country to have its own identity. United States as well. It's a similar history, but the only difference is Canada remained loyal to the British Empire for a lot longer, or is still loyal to the British Empire in a way, or whatever, still has the Queen on the money. And United States society decided to break free of empire that they viewed as oppressive somehow. So what I mean by that is, now you have this sort of super postmodern, success-oriented society where everybody wants to get the degree, make lots of money, get all this sort of stuff. And that's Canada, United States, and a lot of places in Western Europe are on that way. So in this spiral dynamic sort of thing, like there's the different levels. So Serbia would be stage blue, which is the traditional society. And you have some people here who are in the next one, which I'm talking about with Canada, which is stage orange. And stage orange is where you try to chase success. So that's the next one that Serbia needs to go through, because you need to go through these stages. So the next stage for Serbia, if you want to push your society forward, you do need to make lots of money. You do need to make lots of money. You do need to make lots of, changes in the way that you view your whole. You might need to disconnect. It sounds really bad if you're really in this traditional family mentality, but you might need to sort of like disconnect from your family and go off into the world and be a little more selfish and make money, make success, stop living in scarcity, make abundance for yourself. So this is why I always recommend that people in Serbia go into the IT business. The IT business is sort of something that transcends national borders in a way that you can go into the IT business, even from Serbia, and develop a career that pushes you straight into the more developed economies in such a way that you can do the work remotely and they send money. So, I mean, there's other sectors that can operate like this, but the IT is the one that's sort of being most progressive in providing jobs in this way. So I would say, if you're a young kid in Serbia, study computers, but don't study computers in the computer faculty. Study computers on YouTube. Study computers by fucking them up and fixing them afterwards, like I always did. I've always been in the IT industry as my way of making money in this world. I'm also a musician that's made a little tiny bit of money, but I think overall I've spent more money on it than I made in it. So IT industry, I started when I was 11, got my first computer, and started fixing the computer and fixing family and friends' computers. And next thing you know, I was putting signs up around the neighborhood, computer genius for hire. So in my neighborhood of Toronto, Canada, and going around and fixing these computers. And it was a good way to learn about life and to learn from successful people. This is also the thing. In Serbia, people, I guess, don't have much of a choice but to hang out with a lot of unsuccessful people who don't have hope for success and are not taking the next steps in their careers because of a sort of pervasive hopelessness that exists around this society and is kind of like the standard here, right? It's kind of the standard to be like, oh, there's no future in Serbia. No. But that's not an excuse if you look at the fact that what I'm recommending to you is to go into the IT industry that, is location independent and you have opportunity. I mean, two things. Learn how to speak proper English like I'm speaking now with this sort of eloquence, or something where you can at least communicate with a person like me without me feeling like it's hard to communicate with you. Number two, learn tech. If you look at those two things, or in Serbia, two things, and the third thing would be educate yourself about how business works. And educate yourself with role models. So these two things. Speaking proper English, because English is the world language of commerce, like it or not. And you should learn it. Number two, get into tech. Learn about the companies that are making the most money and the way that you can contribute. Programming, I would recommend, I'm in the support business. So the IT support business is people like me who have relatively evolved social skills and actually like dealing with people and actually like making a difference in their lives. You go into support, then you get to always help people and be the bridge between people and their technology and sort of make that connection. If you are more of a person who likes to keep to themselves, be alone, not interact with people, if you have social phobia, if you're incredibly introverted, I mean, I'm an introvert, but from extroverted to introverted, I would say I would be in the middle. Some days I'm here, more introverted. Some days I'm a little more extroverted, but always I recharge by myself. And that's why at my core I'm an introvert, because dealing with people drains me unless it's a particularly deep and meaningful interaction. Small talk drains me. So if you're like that, you might decide to go into development, and there's a lot more money there. But development is even more about results, and you need to bring the results, and you need to figure out really quickly if you are a person who is actually going to be good at figuring things out. So there's essential, and then always in technology, there's always a choice between going into being a super tech, somebody who can figure out, design, implement anything, or being a management person. Now, even if you're a management person, you still do need to know tech. You still need to know how to manage other people in doing the processes of building, coding, implementing, supporting, etc., etc. I decided that I'm going to be a manager, by the way, because also I like dealing with people, and I have sort of a management systems thinking mind where I think of how not just systems of computers should work, but systems of people should work. So I decided to go into management, and I'm really successful at it now. I started this company called Support Adventure, and now there's people in 14 countries who are contracted to work remotely for my company, and I've developed all the systems through which they can collaborate and do good work for companies around the world. And that's how I'm living in Belgrade. That's how I can be in Belgrade, is because I have set up this technical infrastructure for money coming to me here. Think about that. So you complain about the system of Belgrade, of Serbia. You complain about the lack of prosperity here. And indeed, I agree with you that people here are by all means quite horrible at business, a lot of them. The default around the world is that people are bad at business. People are spending all their money. People are showing up late. People are making promises they're not keeping. That's the default for people, even in Canada, Sweden, Germany, all these places. Maybe Germany would be the one of the countries that's most on, like Germany, Switzerland. Those are the really badass sort of like reliable countries where they force everybody to be really decent. And yeah, you can be like that. But I would say that even in business in Serbia, there's this sort of like laid back approach which allows for a certain permissiveness in business deals and people fucking each other over in terms of paying late, following through on deals, saying let's do this when it never happens and all that stuff. So you can complain about that all you want, and I agree with you. But there's a lot of nonsense that occurs when you are complaining about something that you cannot change, right? You cannot change it. You can only make small changes in the people around you. And if you are depending on local companies that are unreliable to give you the income you need to survive, well then, you're going to be at their mercy. So what do? Lots of people want to leave Serbia. Lots of people want to go to other countries. Lots of people want to like go to Canada. Oh, isn't life much better there? Well, it depends how you live. It really depends how you live. Can you make more money there? Yes. Is it more expensive there? Yes. Is the lifestyle there healthier? Depends how you live. Are people there nicer? Depends what you mean. When you walk into a store, could be that they're more polite by default. When you bump into someone on the street, could be they're more polite by default. But they're less real, I can tell you that. So, Canada. I grew up there. I got sick of it because I hit this wall of postmodern culture and sort of like this prosperity culture of everybody just being so fucking individual and distant from each other that you could not actually have this basic human connection. And so I moved to Serbia, where human connection came in abundance. When I started being here and reaching out to people and getting close to people, it was just so much easier and felt so much more human to do this in a country like this, Serbia. Right. So, what's wrong with Serbia? Yes, it hasn't gone to prosperity yet. People need to get to the next level, which is more individualism, which is more hard work, more excellence, more success, business, and all that stuff. And a lot of people don't realize that there actually is more after that. There's a stage when you reach so much success and so much prosperity and wealth that you start actually not just thinking about yourself as an individual. So the prosperity stage is called stage orange and spiral dynamics. But once you become so successful and reach a certain amount of, stability in your life, then you actually start thinking about other people again. So you have Serbia, the traditional society, stage blue, which is like caring a lot about people by default, strong family values, bound together by nationality, religion, community, and all that stuff. And kind of, stuck in that. And then the next stage after that is orange, and that's prosperity. Everyone's out there for themselves to make as much money as possible. And it's a very destructive phase because making as much money as possible it involves a sort of cutthroat, people fucking each other over in a different way, competition and not caring about things like the environment and stuff like that. What's the stage after that? It's called green. The green stage in spiral dynamics is, well, it's the one where you start caring about other people. You start caring about bringing the standards of living of the people around you up to make everybody a society that's more fair. Now, what's the downside of this? Well, you have all these people who are hyper-moralizing things about the environment. You have people who are sort of really judgmental of people who are at the previous stages, really judgmental about people who are religious, like in the traditional society of Serbia or the Islamic world. They're really judgmental about that stage. They're really judgmental about people who are in the orange stage, trying to get profit at all costs. And so Serbia first needs to go through the profit stage so that the standards of living get raised and people here are a lot more stable. And then after that is the stage where they start caring about the environment and other people. You've seen the pollution in Belgrade, haven't you, these days? And it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible because people don't care. They're interested in heating their houses so their family can be warm. And so they're using this like low-grade coal or whatever it is. I haven't looked into this in depth, but people responded to my video about this. Yeah, that's what it is. And the city, actually, look at the air quality for Belgrade. It's absolutely shocking. Look at the fucking haze in the sky on a sunny day. It's absolutely shocking. It's on the verge of crisis if this continues for a few more years, and it's really sad. And that once people make enough money that they feel secure and that their needs are met, then people will start caring about that stuff. But at this point, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares that the environment in Serbia is going to be degraded by the air quality, that people's health is going to be impacted, because they're just concerned about their daily sort of my house being heated, and if you heat it off the electricity, maybe it's going to be 2,000 dinars a month more than if you heat it off of this coal shite. So, yeah, or, you know, Infostan is too expensive for the central heating and stuff like that. Yeah, well, it is, yeah, maybe, I don't know. But once you have enough money, you don't care. You don't really care how much you spend on Infostan, how much you spend on electricity. If your house is warm, you feel good. And then once you have enough money, you'll start caring about the environment outside, what kind of Serbia you're going to leave for your children. But right now, nobody cares. It's still dog eat dog out there. You've still got these excellent products like this magnesium water, which just, you know, gives your body what you need. And I don't want to see that part of Serbia waste away, because the food in Canada is more on this sort of like competitive commercial individualist stage, and the food there sucks because everybody's trying to follow this capitalist directive of making as much money as possible, corporate profits. Your food company has to make the maximum amount of money to please the shareholders, investors, etc. So quality takes a dip. You pull one over on someone just because, yeah, make more money. That's what it's all about. It's all about me, my money. It's a fucking toxic attitude. And once you get through that into stage green, into the green stage of society, then, well, you start to think about the future, quality, organic ingredients, the impact on nature that the farming has and all that stuff, the environment, no. People's rights. All that stuff. But then the stage after green is systems thinking, and that's where I like to inhabit. It's called yellow, and it's systems thinking. It's looking at the whole world as a whole giant system of the way that things interact. It's looking at the fact that, okay, Serbia is a traditional society, Canada is a individualist sort of, US is also an individualist sort of prosper-based society, and, you know, countries like the Netherlands and Sweden and stuff have gone to green, where it's all about, you know, equality. They're accepting lots of refugees. They're trying to do green power and all that stuff. And then the one after that is yellow. The one after that is systems thinking, looking at the whole bloody mess of humanity and trying to make changes that you as an individual person can implement to change societies or change people's lives one by one. That's what I do with my company, Support Adventure. I change people's lives one by one. The idea started when I wanted to be here in Belgrade and have enough money just to be stable here, to have the advantage of the Western prosperity, meaning like stable money coming in, people not fucking me over. So I started my business. Now we've expanded to 14 countries. We've got hired people in 14 countries. Most of our clients are in the USA, and second one is UK, United Kingdom, and we give people jobs that can work remotely. And the idea is to change as many people's lives as possible through this and give them the benefit of living in societies like Serbia. This is a great place, guys, if they send money. If you get money coming from the outside, this is a great place. This is an amazing place to live, an amazing place to be, an amazing community to interact with, even as a foreigner, especially as a foreigner. I mean, I noticed, kad je pričam na srpskom jeziku, and they think that I'm from here. When I speak Serbian, people treat me a lot worse than when they think I'm a foreigner, and they're super polite and respectful and trying to give you the best side so that Serbia looks the best from the outside, which is, it's had PR problems over the last little while. So, yeah. But my thing is I'm here to internationalize the world and give people the opportunity to live in places that they feel good living in. Right? Pretty good, huh? I mean, it's it's great because now I actually got it set up with the remote working and internet stuff that, well, yeah, I can work from anywhere. Yeah. Yeah, I can work from anywhere that has internet. And I can get access my money from anywhere that has a bank machine. So internet, bank machine, and then nice food, nice accommodation, nice people in a nice urban area I can be. So I love Belgrade, love living here, love being a part of this city. I love what my message has become on this Belgrade Beat channel. I love that stuff. Also, I love, well, the ability to not be here, the ability to be in Thailand, for example. That's been good. It's another country that's similar to Serbia, where they have their own culture, their own pride, but they're still also open to outsiders coming and being a part there, and they're very hospitable in a similar way to Serbian people and Balkan people, how they welcome people to come in and be a part of their society. Thais are the same. It's a bit bigger of a thing there, foreigners moving to Thailand than foreigners moving to Serbia, but still there's lots of us here in Serbia. And, well, yeah, and also Colombia is the third one. Third one that we sort of have lots of people in. So Colombia is a country in South America that, similar to Serbia, back in the 80s and 90s, they had a really sort of dangerous and war-torn reputation. Drug dealers, warlords, drug lords, Pablo Escobar and stuff like that. Medellin, Colombia, his city is where we have the most people now, and it's a place that's really turned itself around. Just like Belgrade has really turned itself around since the 90s. You get this, folks. It's getting better here. Your grandmother's pension might not be getting better. And the bills might be going up, but if you look around, if you look at people, they look happier now than they did 10 years ago. Trust me. 2009. It was still a lot more wild than it is now. That's, the year when 2009 was the first year I spent more than half the year in Serbia, I believe. I spent about 6 months in 2009. It was awesome. It was amazing. But it was still developing, and the infrastructure that we have now was not there. So what's next for Serbia? What's the next level of awesomeness that we can achieve with this place? Well, the next level of awesomeness is people like you starting your own businesses and operating them based on your own values. And the best way to do that is get money from the tech industry, believe me, to get money from remote working and make an agency of people doing that sort of work in English over the internet, and then taking money from that and you can reinvest it into the community once you become affluent enough to, affluent enough to make a difference in society. So we've got a comment in the thing. AL was saying, I was looking to buy an apartment in Belgrade. But it's crazy expensive for no reason. Well, it's market value. So what do you consider crazy expensive? Look at how much it costs in London to own something, and then look at it again in Belgrade. Do you still think that it's crazy expensive? It might not be. An apartment for 120,000 euros or something in the city center. It's not a lot of money compared to London, Toronto, all those different places, and it's relative. And so Vesna Stankovic says, the prices will remain crazy expensive as long as certain people can afford it. Well, you guys are thinking about local wages. And a lot of the people who own apartments here have made money outside of the country, and you should too. You can too. So it's time to get with it, folks. I mean, I realized that this was not a country. I lived 3 months between 2009 and 2012. 2011. Yeah, no, 3 years there. 2008, 2009, 2010, half of 2011. I lived 3 months in Canada, 3 months here. And I realized that, yeah, basically, I did not want to live here if I had to get a local job teaching English. That was not a thing. I got the certificate from the Cambridge University as a teacher of English language as a second language to adults, and I was ready to do it if I needed to, but then this remote working thing started, and I realized that with voice over IP and remote computer things like TeamViewer, I would be able to run my business remotely, and there was a business in doing IT stuff exclusively remotely, and so I focused on that. When I moved here, I focused on that. And you can too. You can, yeah. I mean, my company, Support Adventure, is usually always looking for new people around the world, whether you're in Colombia, Serbia, I'm going to South Africa next month to find people there. A lot of those people are leaving there. Think about that. South Africa has a murder rate higher than most war zones. So lots of people are leaving there and moving to places like Panama, which is Latin America, which is also maybe not the safest place in the world, but it's better than South Africa. Whereas Serbia is one of the safest places in the world. Look at the statistics for murders. This is the same level of safe for murders as Canada. And despite the fact that there is a high gun ownership rate here, it's like the second in the world, or it's up there with the United States. People have got guns here, but I've never seen one pulled in public. I've never been mugged with someone at gunpoint. That just does not happen here. Because people have pride, they've got values. They're traditional society values, and it just doesn't happen here. People don't feel the need to steal from each other at this point in Serbian life, in Serbian society, and it's a really safe place. The murder rate is super low, the crime rate is super low, and be thankful for that. So I'm going to South Africa to see if I can recruit people from there, more people from there, and get them a way to move to a place where they can, feel safer, where they can have a more prosperous life, to give them a job that they can work over the internet, like in Panama and stuff like that. Maybe some of them want to come here and go through the process of getting into Serbia. Yeah. That's what my company does. It helps people like me go and live in different places, and yeah, I love it. I mean, it's just, yeah, I love my company. I love the values that I get because I get to tell the truth to people. This is the most important thing. Once you start businesses and stuff like that, if you're doing some sort of sleazy multi-level marketing thing, it's going to eat away at your soul. If you're deceiving people, ripping people off, all that stuff, it's going to eat away at your soul. You're going to feel, from lying to people, you're going to feel on the inside, on a deep level, like a piece of shit. Let's be honest here. So it's not all about how much you can get now. It's all about making money in a way that you're actually helping people. The people who you are taking money from should be 100% happy before, during, and after with what you're offering, and to feel that you've got their money by telling the truth. You've got their money by giving them something valuable. And that's what I do. I give people the opportunity to make money off of the internet, and I give companies that are giving us the work that these people are doing the opportunity to save money on hiring people. And I just feel really fucking good about it, and it's awesome. And there's lots of room in this world for people like me who want to make a win-win-win situation for everybody. You don't have to always be competitive. You don't have to always be trying to get the lowest cost, trying to make the most money and all that stuff. There's a whole level of business and prosperity that you can operate based on quality, integrity, honesty, and benefiting people's lives. And that's what a lot of people in Serbia don't see. But a lot of these traditional businesses in the food sector, they do see that. They do make these. Luckily, Serbia produces lots of really good food. Luckily, Serbia still has really honest people growing a lot of that food. And luckily, the ingredients here, this is one of the main reasons I live here, that you can get great food. If you go to the health foods, Zdrava Hrana places, you can really find good stuff. And it's really alive in a way, and it's affordable as well. So think about that. That's something in Canada, that stuff isn't really affordable. You go to Whole Foods Market and it's you pay like $20 for a salad from the salad bar for a meal. I mean, it's really good food, but you have to pay $20. Here you can get that for almost nothing. So, yeah, lots of potential for Serbia. Lots of potential for this world that we're living in. Lots of potential for things getting better. Not worse, but they might get worse in the short term. Who knows, folks? Just watch out for yourself. And once you're fine in yourself, once you've stabilized your life, look out for the people around you. And one of the mistakes a lot of Serbian people do is they prioritize the people around them above themselves, and they sacrifice too much of themselves to listen to the opinions, desires, and habits of the people around them rather than listening to themselves. So that can hold you back. So the next stage for people in Serbia is to really work hard and make successes out of themselves and not rely on excuses and nonsense sort of hopelessness as an excuse not to succeed. Because there's so many opportunities if you think on the right level. If you think of opportunities, if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, there's lots of opportunity. Believe me, especially with the internet economy, especially with so many talented people here who don't have stable work. Give it to them and they'll be loyal. So figure it out, folks. Thanks a lot for tuning in. This is Eric from Belgrade Beats Studios here. Take a look. I'm setting this up. Soon there's going to be more microphones, more headphones, more people sitting around this table, which, by the way, was donated to me by the British Broadcasting Corporation when they closed down their office here. The guy wanted to get rid of his furniture, so he knew me, and he gave it to me. That was pretty cool. So I got this broadcast desk. Going to get people, around like... Yeah, this is what it looks like here. I've got a bed in my office. Just, to lounge on when I'm kind of, need something like that. So, Belgrade Beat 2020. It's going to be funny. Let's keep on doing this. Shouts out to Stephen G, who says he's a new subscriber. Thanks for being on board. And, well, let's do more of these soon. Let's make something out of this. I'll get some of the previous guests who I've had interviewed to come into the studio and have some chats over the next little while, and we'll just start doing this more and more, folks. I love Belgrade. Don't love the winter, but starting April, you can expect shit's going to start happening because I'm going to be traveling to South Africa next month, traveling to Thailand again in March for a personal retreat, detox, whatever, to start getting ready to be who I'm going to be starting April in Belgrade, folks. I'll see you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you later. Goodbye, everybody. I'm clicking stop now. Kaboom.